Welcome to Live on Purpose Radio with Dr. Paul Jenkins, where you will hear inspiring stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Feed your mind with a regular dose of positive energy and show up for your life every day on purpose. Living on purpose means that you have a purpose and you do it intentionally. And now, here's your host, Dr. Paul.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Live on Purpose Radio. This is Dr. Paul, the shrink who expands your life, with another episode of Live on Purpose Radio. I have so many great friends and associates and people who have created value for me. Today is no exception. I have with me today Devan Bosch. Devan is a speaker. He is a mentor. He is a coach. He is in a process right now with me of being licensed and credentialed to teach the models and principles that I've developed over my career. So we get to work pretty closely together because of that. Devan, that's kind of fun. Welcome to Live on Purpose Radio.
Thank you very much. This is really exciting. I first met Paul 24 years ago.
Has it been 24?
About that long.
What?
So,
wow. You know what? Time accelerates as you get older. And you're probably not old enough to know that yet, but I certainly am. And it's kind of a fun process to see how things unfold over time. And Devan, you've had a bit of a journey.
I have.
Which is a big reason why you're on the show today. And you've got some important things that you've learned from that journey. Could you give our listeners just a little introduction, maybe a little feel for where you're coming from? Where did your story start?
Sure. I have had an interesting background. It's atypical of Utah because I was an only child of a single mother. And my mother was mentally ill. She was in and out of psychiatric wards.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where I first came to know Paul. I was in and out of 10 foster homes growing up.
Yeah.
2 of them were official and 8 of them unofficial, just family and friends that I stayed with. Mm-hmm. The longest was a year. So,
wow.
I faced a lot of opposition, and people didn't think I would even graduate high school, but I didn't understand why they would think that, but I did. You know, I moved on and faced walls and pushed through them and just kept going forward.
This is the very brief version of a very rich story.
Yes.
I think you've given us enough context, though, Devan, to understand that this was not easy.
Right.
There were a lot of challenges. When you say that you were the only child of a single mother who had significant mental health issues.
Yeah.
Okay, just in that statement alone, folks, I invite you, if you're listening to this podcast, to just consider what your own package is. Devan has just given us a context. And Devan, this is something that we're not going to dig into all of the nasty details of everything that happened. But this is something that a lot of people would use as a reason. They might call it a reason. Some others might call it an excuse for why they can't succeed.
Right, exactly. I think one of the most significant things I remember was a police officer over at our house for the umpteenth time. And she said to me, "Devan, why haven't you run away?" Like, what do you mean, why haven't I run away? Why would I run away? It's like, so it's just, you know, we've given our challenges to face and push through and become better. So it was my challenge. It was my mother. You know, I wasn't going to run away from that.
Right. And it's not like you chose it.
Right.
There are some things that happen in our life that are simply handed to us. And I don't know why, Devan. I have no idea why you got that package and I got mine and whoever's listening got theirs. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, that's your package.
Right. And I am actually really grateful for it.
What?
I really am.
Now you're talking crazy. Tell us what's behind that statement. Why?
Because it's made me who I am. I have empathy, deep empathy for people who go through trials like that.
Yes.
And for single mothers, knowing what they experience, what they have to deal with. I've seen that. I've seen them fight to feed their families, and there's just a really soft spot in my heart for them.
A soft spot that I might add drives a lot of what you do now.
Right.
You can't go through an experience like that without being impacted in a big way. And my experience, see if this fits with what you know, Devan. My experience is that it can take you one way or another. And there's some choice involved in which direction it takes you.
It really is.
Do you believe that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could have run away. I could have chosen out of that. And could I have been better? Yeah. I remember knowing that my mother was counseled to give me up for adoption when she first had me. I was born out of wedlock, and I think that probably would have been the right choice, but she didn't do that. And I dealt with the consequences of her actions.
Right.
Being raised in a home without a mother and a father, without a stable home life, and I could have chosen out of that because of her choices, but I didn't. I went through that, and it made me better, it made me stronger. I'm going to talk a little bit about being a knight in shining armor at the.
You shared that with me earlier. Would you?
Yes.
Just share that idea with our listeners.
So, a knight in shining armor, that is pure and clean, has not battled and learned from challenges faced. It is those that are weathered and worn, bruised and limping, that experience them and have experience and have knowledge.
You know what? I love that spin, because we always use this knight in shining armor, right? Just
right.
Rides in from some impossible place to save the day. What you're saying is that's totally mythological.
Right.
Those aren't the guys who have the knowledge and the experience, and they haven't been taught by powerful experiences in life how to actually show up and be a hero. I like that.
I love it because we all have that armor. We all have that experience. We all have things in our lives that help us grow and become who we are.
Right. Devan, you've got a lot of stories that... I say stories. I'm calling a story anything that, from our life experience, illustrates a principle.
Right.
And you've got a whole collection of those. You use these as you're counseling with people, as you provide coaching and mentoring for others who are having a hard time. You're not claiming to be a knight in shining armor. In fact, you kind of detest that image from what I've picked up. You've got a few dings and dents, don't
Absolutely.
you? And those stories have taught you some powerful things. What are you feeling to share with our listeners?
I've got two that are related.
Okay.
And, I'm going to share them back to back. The first happened 20 years ago, last month.
Okay.
I was on my way back from Oregon to Utah. There were 5 other people in the car. It was a Jeep Grand Cherokee. We left at about 9 p.m. Oregon time. We're driving through the night because some of us had to be to work the next morning in Utah.
Oh, wow.
And I was sitting in the very back of the Jeep, surrounded by luggage. I was not in a seat, not in a seatbelt. I was asleep, and I was woken up by the front passenger screaming the driver's name. He had fallen asleep at the wheel, and the cruise control was set at 80 miles an hour. We started to veer off the road a little bit to the left, and when he woke up, he jerked the wheel to the right. We went back and forth, snaked across the freeway a couple of times, and then as we were turning back to the left, I remember the right rear tire popped. I remember hearing that pop, and then we started to roll. It felt like we rolled 20 times to me because I I remember lights flashing past, and I remember getting hit in the face with glass, and it sounded as if I was inside of a dryer with somebody with a sledgehammer on the outside, slamming the sledgehammers on the dryer.
Wow.
It was very loud and chaotic. And the most fascinating thing during this entire process, my life didn't flash before my eyes. I didn't feel this fear, concern. The only thought that went through my head was, oh great, how are we going to get home now?
That was your thought?
That was my only thought in all of that. And all of that chaos and all of that tumult.
Right.
I have another story that I'm going to relate back to this.
Okay.
There was a time that I was sleeping in my bed, fast asleep. And all of a sudden I smelled something. I had a scent. There was a scent in my nose. Mm-hmm. I woke up in a panic, thinking it could be a fire? Was it smoke? My heart started pounding. The bed started shaking because I was like, what is going on? What is this?
Right.
And I was alert. I was sniffing, and I couldn't smell anything. I got up out of bed and went out in my living room, couldn't see anything. I was like, what is going on? Went back into my bedroom and laid back down, and I was thinking about it, trying to figure out what was going on. I realized that my pillow was against my face when I had woken up, and it was the smell of my own breath that woke me up. So it was just a smell. It was just a smell that woke me up, and I realized in that we can create our own panic. We can create a sense of urgency or fear. And some of the things we experience are simply our perception or even our imagination.
Right.
Some of our is our own making, and it was my breath. It was my making. So.
But the panic was real.
Right.
The sense of urgency.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fascinating to me that in the rollover, in a real moment of fear that could cause fear,
crisis and real danger,
I had peace. And then in a moment where I didn't have, there was no danger, I had fear. So
that's interesting to me. I mean, I'm a shrink, but maybe everybody else is finding this interesting too. That is a really interesting comparison. Devan, I think that there's some fun things we can do with this. We're going to take a quick break. As we come back from this break, we'll dive into that comparison a little bit and see just where we're going. This is Devan Bosch today at Live on Purpose Radio. We'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to Live on Purpose Radio. We're so glad to have you here. Please come by the website, drpauljenkins.com, spelled with a D-R, drpauljenkins.com. On the website, you'll have an opportunity to receive a free download. And while you're there, make sure you click on the social media icons. Come over to Facebook, where we will be posting these episodes as well as our YouTube videos and other content and announcements for you to share. Please like us, comment, subscribe, join the conversation. We're happy to have you with us here at Live on Purpose Radio. Let's all support each other to live on purpose. drpauljenkins.com.
And we're back. Devan Bosch today at Live on Purpose Radio. Devan, you shared a couple of stories in our first half today that I was trying to put it together, and then you beautifully tied those together for me. First of all, you might need something to help with the breath issue, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I just had to try that one. But you had this experience where you in a panic were getting up and trying to find, where's that smell coming from? What is the house on fire? What's going on? And it turns out to be your own breath as reflected back to you from your pillow.
Right.
That you were smelling. Not in danger, but real panic.
Right.
And then this other experience that where in a Jeep Grand Cherokee you are rolling. And I'm glad that you survived that. Some people don't.
Right.
I don't even know if everybody in
We
your car
all
was.
did.
Oh, wow. Amazing. But during the process, you remember thinking, hey, maybe I should get a puppy. No, it wasn't that. But it was something like, oh, how are we going to get home now? Without any real panic or sense of the gravity of what was actually happening to you that involved real danger and real crisis.
Right.
Interesting. As you tied that together for us, it brings to my mind something that we talk about quite a bit here at Live on Purpose Radio, and that is that there is a choice. Can you address that for a moment? Just, what is this choice element?
I thoroughly believe that peace is a choice. It is a choice to create
Wow.
it, but more importantly, is a choice to accept it because it's there. You know that we're experiencing a lot of tumult in the world today.
Yes, we
a
are.
lot of stuff going on, and we can have fear. We can choose fear. We can choose to have that as part of our everyday life, or we can choose peace, which is there for us freely.
You know what? You just brought up something that I think deserves a little bit of work. And by work, I mean, let's talk about this. Because, well, you've heard this phrase before. How am I supposed to feel?
Yeah.
Right? From your stories, it's not immediately clear how you're supposed to feel. And maybe it's not a supposed to kind of a thing.
Yeah.
You said peace is a choice. Really? I mean, regardless of what's going on around you?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay. I happen to believe that. That sounds a little crazy to some people.
It does. I've had a lot of experience. I've responded to New York during 9/11. I've been to countless house fires, mudslides, tornadoes with the Red Cross, and there are people that have chosen fear and unrest. There's people that have chosen peace in those situations where they've lost absolutely everything, and I think it's much more powerful to choose peace. Whether you have it in the exact moment or you choose that's what you want and go after it. Mm-hmm. It's powerful. It's liberating.
That reminds me of a powerful statement from a book that I think everyone should read called Man's Search for Meaning. You're nodding. You're familiar with that book by Dr. Viktor Frankl, who said, and remember, folks, if you haven't read Dr. Frankl's book, he was, the short version, Auschwitz. Okay? He was interned in a Nazi concentration camp, several of them actually, including Auschwitz. And he wrote in his powerful account of what he learned from that everything can be taken from a human being. Everything. Except what he called the last of human freedoms, to choose your attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose your own way. That was the powerful message from Dr. Frankl.
And I've not experienced anything close to what he experienced. And so that's a lesson to me, because I don't know how I would react in that situation. And I'm grateful to have him to look at, if I'm facing something that I feel is my concentration camp.
Right.
Look, he made it through that, and I can make it through this.
We all have something,
Yeah.
right? We all have some package of experiences. We all have our personal Auschwitz that we get to deal with. You said you haven't experienced anything like what Dr. Frankl experienced. Devan, I haven't experienced anything like what you've experienced.
Yeah, it's fascinating the way things work like that. So we can be trailblazers for each other. We can show each other the way and bring each other up the mountain.
The principles are always consistent. The principles behind it. The context is different for everyone.
Right.
But that's just the weather report. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's raining, it's sunshiny, whatever. It's just the weather report. The principles are all the same. So the same principles that applied to Dr. Frankl apply to Devan Bosch.
Yes.
And those same principles apply to Dr. Paul or whoever else is listening to this conversation today. This is about each one of us. And in another way, it's not about me at all.
Yeah.
You know what, Devan? What you have experienced, and you haven't even shared a small portion of all of the detail of what your particular situation was
Right.
or has been. But that may not be as relevant. What really is relevant is that whatever it is perfect for you.
Absolutely, I agree. I absolutely agree with that.
Have you always felt that way, or have you come to this through a process?
You know, I remember being a teenager and seeing, because I didn't have a father there in my life, that I wasn't going to be a father like he was to me. So I think that it's always been there. I think there's a portion of it that has been. There are things that I would not have chosen, most definitely, but I believe I was given these things for a purpose so that I could have a voice in sharing peace, sharing the peace that I found, even through difficulty.
You know what? I wouldn't have any business being a psychologist if I didn't believe that people can, number one, learn from their experience, and number two, choose their own path. Regardless of what has happened to you in the past, it's still possible to choose your path from here.
Right, absolutely.
That's part of your message.
Yes, no doubt about it. There's two roads you could go on. And
At least two.
At least two. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And you can look at your past with negativity or with positivity. And that's one of the things I wanted to invite, is to see the beauties you've been given in your difficulties. Write them down. Mm-hmm. Acknowledge these experiences, these gifts even, that have been given to you. Then use what you have learned to inspire, strengthen, and uplift others. We are on this journey together, and you, the listener, and I, the one speaking, we all have a purpose.
Yes. Regardless of what our package is. In fact, you know what? It's not just regardless of it. It's because of it.
Yes.
You said this earlier, Evan. You said that you're grateful for it. You know, this difficult, painful, challenging, sometimes you're not proud of it, past.
Right.
But that it has made you who you are. You're grateful for it. It's because of that you're where you are.
Yes.
What if your mom had followed the advice and given you up for adoption? Well, you'd have a whole different package.
That's true. It's completely different.
And not right or wrong, just totally different.
Yep.
You know what I believe about this? I think we still get to learn the same lessons no matter what our package is.
Yeah.
And you can learn it from a painful package and you can learn it from a pleasant package, but I'm not sure if the pleasant ones are more powerful. In fact, the painful ones might be more powerful. What's the better way to learn stuff? I don't know.
Touching the hot stove.
Right? Yeah, there's fewer repetitions required if you get the painful package. Maybe, if we're smart enough to learn from our experiences.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing some of your insights here today. As we're wrapping up our conversation, Devan, How would you summarize this for our listeners today?
I would say choose peace. In these difficult times, in these unknown experiences we're going through, choose out of fear and choose peace. There is peace for all to have.
So in order to do that, we might have to find a way to get a little less distracted by everything that's going on around us.
Yes.
Center on those things that we do control, which are basically our choices of perception.
And that's one of the things I really wanted to say is perceiving it. We can focus on the stuff that's right in front of us, all the chaos.
Yes.
Or we can look further into the future and how bright and beautiful it is. We can look out on the horizon, see the sunset. Or we can focus on this junk that's right in front of us.
You know, some critics might say, oh, that's just pie in the sky Pollyanna thinking, right?
Right.
You know what? People used to accuse me of being Pollyanna-ish. Devan,
I can see that.
Seriously. Yeah, you can if you know me, and you do. I didn't know at first. Is that a compliment? I don't know. Because I'm just kind of rolling with it, right? Well, I read the book. I mean, a lot of us have seen the old Disney movie, Pollyanna. It's based on a book. The book has even more detail. This kid was 11 years old when she was orphaned.
Yeah.
At 11, you're old enough to know what's going on. This was not an easy situation for her. She got shipped across the country on a train to live with her grumpy, snooty, uptight aunt, and everybody around her was also a little grumpy because they had to deal with her. This was not an ideal situation. Her father had taught her a game. It was called the Glad Game. It was a game, Devan, that she was playing on purpose to find something in her circumstances to be glad about. Why? Because she can.
It changes your outlook, your perspective.
Changes your whole experience.
Yeah.
Choose peace. I love it. Until you see it as a choice, it's not. So hopefully today maybe we've opened up some light onto that.
Excellent.
Devan, how do people find you? If they want to connect with you, have you come speak, maybe they're interested in doing some coaching or mentoring with you.
Well, you can email me at segolillymentoring@gmail.com.
Sego, S-E-G-O, Lily, L-I-L-L-Y.
One L.
One L.
Yeah. L-I-L-Y.
That's two.
Oh, yeah, but two.
Well, what is the
together.
beginning? Okay. Sego Lily, S-E-G-O-L-I-L-Y.
Yes.
Good catch. Mentoring at gmail.com.
Yes.
Did I get it?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm also on Facebook.
Same title.
Same name.
So look for Sego Lily Mentoring on Facebook, and they can find you that way as well. Devan, thank you so much for sharing your insights today.
This has been a positively powerful privilege.
Precisely. Everybody, it's time. Choose peace and go live on purpose.